Okay, so I wanted to show you guys what I'm doing here, this workflow for the music video project. I'm in my folder here. My albums in the music is the name of the music video, or the name of the song that I made for the music video. I kind of wrote a list here on the right. This is just a quick notepad. And essentially what we're going to be doing is creating a base image in 4K using Seedream 4.0. We already have that, so I'm going to kind of gloss over that first step. We're going to create a variation of it to kind of start this training set of different angles and different lighting for the same character. We're using Nano Banana for that. Once we get a good version that's a different variation or different angle, we will create a new image off of that by putting that image and the original base image into the image guidance area that's kind of over here on the left, this image guidance omni-reference. And what it will do is it'll take both of those into account and hopefully create a really awesome 4K version. This worked really well for the last character I did, so hoping this works well. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. We have a base image already. This character is our second character, so character 2. I really like her look. I don't think we really need to change a lot. We do need to be a little careful, like her earring is not completely closed here, so we might need to fix that before we do anything else, but we'll see. It might be able to fix that for us. I'm going to do a quick part of my process here is that I'm let's see if I can get this thing out of the way. Part of my process is that I am working with ChatGPT to advise me on like colors and tone, and so kind of one step that I do is I come to ChatGPT and I paste the picture in here, so that's why I copied it, and I let it know, like it's aware of the whole project in this chat feed, so I don't really need to preface it with any of that because I've already done that, but I would recommend if you're working on a large project and you're working with an AI assistant like this, let ChatGPT or whoever know that you're doing this. So I can just say simply like, I'm working on reprocessing this one as we move into building a training set for character 2. Can you give me a list of some variation prompts for Nano Banana so I can test some different angles and lighting? This is important because it'll, like, you could probably do all this without checking in with ChatGPT or getting assistance, but it'll elaborate in ways that you might not think of. It'll also try to hold important things in place when you're adding this prompt to Nano Banana. So, for example, it might say we really need to make sure that we prompt the pink and gold eyeshadow that's going on here, or we need to be specific about is she wearing a belt or not, things like that. So here's a few variations. Let's see if any of these look interesting. Let's just jump to the pose and angle variations. So it's saying like same character, turning slightly to the right, gentle smile, looking past the camera. I kind of like that. That's a pretty emotional like look, or kind of cinematic look, and that's what we're going for with this music video. So I'm going to start with this and just see if it gives us anything. I might jump to this 3/4 shot after that if this one doesn't give us what we want. So I'm going to go back here. Just for some organizational purposes, I'm going to go ahead and move this into her own folder. I've created an album for her already. I'm going to jump over to that album. So that is now here. I'm going to go ahead and just build in here. Usually I have a couple different tabs going, but to make this easier, we're going to select the model. Seedream 4.0 is the one that I like right now. We're going to go ahead and grab from history. Then you can go to albums and it already knows we're in this album, so confirm. And then from here, we're going to paste that prompt that ChatGPT gave us. Oh, sorry. We need to be in the chat to edit, not this creation. So if you were creating an initial seed or like a base image, this is where you would start. And you probably wouldn't have an image reference because you'd be starting from scratch trying to come up with a brand new character. But since we're doing chat to edit, we're going to go over here. I think I already had one open. It always, in this module, it always kind of goes back to what you were working on before. But I'm going to force it to load in the character we're working on here. Confirm. And then I'm going to paste that prompt, same character. I'm also going to adjust this because I think this is important. Wearing the same outfit. Turning slightly to the right, gentle smile, looking past the camera. Let's see what it does here. We're going to go ahead and hit enter. It's going to process that. And we're hoping for consistency. And sometimes it might be too consistent. This is kind of the other way this time. I was going to joke and say it's going to not fix the earring for us. This isn't terrible, but I don't really think it's holding all of the same facial structures. So this kind of brings us to sort of the annoying part, but kind of fun part if you like looking at photography. Most of this process is just analyzing the photographs that come out of here, the images that come out, and seeing how realistic they look. And so a lot of this is just going back to the base image, pasting this in. I like to change this a little bit. This same girl in the same outfit. I'm going to do something that we actually need here. Dancing joyfully with her arms in the air. Let's see what this does. This is kind of where Nano Banana really shines. We've got Nano Banana selected up here just so that we're just I'm covering my bases here. We can select other options. There is a version of Seedream that will allow me to edit and kind of output in Seedream. I don't feel like it always has the best variations or angles. This is not great. I feel like we're losing some definition, but this is keeping the same outfit pretty close, so that's pretty cool. It did fix her earring. It kept her same necklaces here, I feel like. If we just kind of compare it, she's got this kind of chain around her neck that's almost a choker, and then this kind of single pendant or single object. We didn't see her arms before, so it gave her this bracelet. Things to keep in mind, like, do you want this bracelet going forward? Do we need to edit it out? Things like that. Is her hair consistent enough? She's not in exactly the same location, but that's not super important. What we're really looking for here is just to make sure she retains the same facial structure and her same outfit. Like, is this believable? Could this be the same girl somewhere nearby the same area and about the same lighting? Maybe it's a little bit later in the day. That's fine. Character 1 was challenging. She has a lot of tattoos, and none of them really make sense, but they all look pretty consistent across the photos, and so that's kind of an important part of that. This one's pretty great. I don't think this is perfect, but the biggest reason I'm probably going to reject this is because we can't see her eyes. I learned in another couple hours of training this stuff that you can try really hard to fix this later on, but in Nano Banana, where we are now in these variations, these edits, this is the time to fix it. So if we really like the rest of this and we're pretty content with it, this is also the time that if we wanted to give her like wrist tattoos or something like that, or jewelry, we could edit that in. So I'm going to kind of show what that looks like. I think this is a pretty good image, but I'm going to edit it. Same image with her. So this sounds cheesy, but it's helpful for the model to make it look kind of model-esque or, look professional. with her beautiful, let's see if we know what color her eyes are. Brown. Brown eyes staring into the camera as she dances. She has a small heart tattoo, heart line tattoo on her wrist. Let's see if we can do this. This would be cool to, with one edit, knock out two things, maybe add some character with a little, okay, it didn't put it on her wrist, but it did give us a tattoo here, kind of on her arm. It did open her eyes, so that is a little bit better. I feel like we're still in the realm of believability for this to be the same girl. So I'm pretty happy with this. I'm a little worried. Like, this is a cool idea for the heart tattoo. I was thinking it might be simple enough that we could carry it through. It might be, but I think we would want it a little better defined. This doesn't really look like a perfectly drawn heart. I'm gonna try one more edit, and these are the thing that's kind of cool about letting it go from one to the next is as long as everything looks fairly good, some things will improve, and just make sure that nothing's really deteriorating, and if it does, go back. Don't continue to work off of the iterations. If she doesn't look like the person in the first picture, don't keep going. Now I know this looks a lot more realistic, and so I think part of this process is you want images that will help you train other images in the future. So if if there's things that look a little bit different, like the lighting or the camera shot is a little bit more natural or realistic or candid, compared to this original that looks almost like an upgraded or professional photo was taken, or that she was posing really intentionally. This is pretty hard to match in photos that look candid, and so we have to make sure we're not really trying to do that. We want to provide some variation in a way that looks like it's the same person. So I kind of like this. I do think I think we can kind of see a little bit of her teeth structure here in the front, and I feel like that looks similar enough. Her lips look pretty similar, I think. They might look a little bit fuller in this first image, so that might be a little bit of a difference. Her eyebrows, that's an important one. I feel like it maintains this kind of characteristic of her eyebrow here. So it's pretty good, but I don't feel like it's as, I feel like it breaks down a little bit in the eyebrow. I think I'm going to actually take that same prompt, so I'm going to come back over here and copy this text. My experience here is that we could probably keep iterating and it might get better, but I feel like we will stray away from the original. So I'm going to go back to the original, same prompt, and I'm going to focus on a couple things, like same image with her beautiful brown eyes staring into the camera. So instead of same image, I'm going to do same girl in the same outfit, dancing, I'm going to say gleefully. That's probably not the best idea. Excitedly with her catching the camera. So I'm changing it to, instead of staring into the camera, her beautiful brown eyes catching the camera. She has a small heart line tattoo on her wrist. Small, perfectly drawn heart line tattoo on her wrist. Let's see what that does. Again, this is a lot of trial and error. I'm probably not going to, for time's sake, not going to beat this to death to get it absolutely perfect, but I will emphasize that getting this perfect is kind of important. Okay, so here we have a better drawn heart. It doesn't look as believable that it's a tattoo, but we could probably run with it. I think we kept most things the same here. I think her facial structure looks believable. She looks a little sleepy, maybe, compared to the first Like her eyes are a little more open here. She looks like a little more tired. Maybe it's later in the day again. I don't know. When the fingers are showing like this, it's always important to kind of check on those, but it's not super huge. I think they turned out fine anyway. But sometimes when you're training like on the facial features, if there's a little variation in the fingers or hands or arms, it's not going to be the end of the world. It did keep her earring here. It kind of can't be seen in this one, but I think the implication is that it might be covered by her hair a little bit. The necklaces look good. Keeps her kind of gray under shirt here, bra going underneath her top. The top colors look consistent for the most part. There's a little bit of a kind of fade to gray at this top. So this one's pretty good. I don't like the background very much. This is still a good training image. So I think I'm gonna keep this training image, and I might see if we can use Seedream to get us something a little bit better. Let's just compare. Alright, I could probably live with this. So we're going to take this. I'm going to show you a cool trick here. So this is kind of where some of the super powerful things happen. We're going to go back to image. We're going to go to editing history. We're going to grab that one that we liked. So it was the last one we made. It's this one here. I'm going to move this into the character 2 album, just so we know what we're doing. We're then going to come over here. We're going to make sure our model is selected on the right model, Seedream 4.0. We're going to grab first the new image. That's good there. Then we're going to grab, and I think you can multi-select here, but then the second image. This is going to kind of emphasize, like it's going to pull some of the first image into the new image we created when it creates this secondary image. So for the prompt here, I might see if I can edit the background a little bit. It is helpful to get some flowery things. What I'm actually going to do is pull from a successful version that we already had. So my character 1 upscaled. She dancing, not really. I'm going to probably pull in. I don't have any of these as a background. I thought I had a background image, but I'm not sure. Sometimes it will work, but I don't want to waste credits. So let's see. Maybe I have one here. Here we go. Here's a background image. So I'm going to grab that background image is in the music folder. It's this background here, and I'm going to hope that that kind of adds some background. Again, going back to a successful upscaled image, so I can grab some of the details here. So this is the prompt I used. Copy this. I actually really like this one. Well, yeah, let's see what this one is. Photograph of a young woman, balanced exposure, high quality, sharp focus, realistic facial detail, portrait focus. That might, I'm also going to add some, I'm not sure if that's how you spell that. I think it is. Okay, I think we're good. I'm going to change my aspect ratio. We're in widescreen because we're creating a music video. Make sure my resolution's in 4K. I'm going to go ahead and hit create. I'm going to hit generation at the top here so we can see what we're doing. For time's sake, I'm going to hit another one so we can just see a few variations. And so what's happening here is that it's using the guidance from these images somewhat in order, I believe. So there might be some stronger weighting in the first one than the second or third. It's using this vague prompt detail to just kind of anchor what it's trying to do. If you just put like a blank space in here, I've tested that, it doesn't give you the best results. You'll see kind of some versions of character 1 that kind of went off the rails, that is not consistent as much with, like her clothing is not the same, She doesn't look to be in the same lighting in a lot of it, just very different. Okay. Let's see here. Let's start over here. Cool. So we've gotten that kind of glossy, but yet somewhat realistic cinematic music video look back because we pulled in that third image. I think this is a pretty cool picture. It looks like we're staying true to her makeup. Her eyebrows look pretty similar. I think we got a pretty awesome facial texture here. Necklaces look consistent. There's a little bit of this kind of blue, for sure, blue color here that is not in other pictures. That could kind of throw everything off. There's options here. We could just go back, run this through Nano Banana again, and fix the color. Like say, this needs to be all pink. We could just let it run with it, but it will probably confuse if we use this for training, and especially in some new workflows I'm using where I'm not even training certain models, but I'm using actual training images as these kind of seed images in the image guidance. So great picture here for the first one. I guess we're going backwards. This one's pretty cool. Definitely, I like the fact that and this is hard to know from some previous stuff, but we're looking at the music festival, but it looks like the same stage, but it looks like it's a different angle from character one, which is pretty powerful for the narrative of the music video. This is a pretty amazing close-up in terms of it's got really great detail on her skin. I feel like you can see very good lighting variation and kind of even some pores in her skin. You can see some flyaways on her, a little bit on her hair here. The detail and the shine and the color of her outfit and everything is pretty awesome. Let's see. Same thing here. Notice that it's putting her tattoo in different places too. That's almost completely on her shoulder. This one looks like it's a little bit more closer to the inner side of her arm, still on the outside though. This one looks like it's even more turned, almost on her bicep. So, take that for what it's worth. It might be worth it to take it out. It might be worth trying to anchor it better with prompts in the future. So it is, something we would have to work on probably. So this is just kind of an example of what you're doing though. You're kind of iterating, you're fixing errors. If we go back to our original source image, just to keep me honest here, it does look like this could a little bit be perceived as like a white or blue, and so this is something we'd have to probably intentionally prompt in the text to fix in variations so that we knew going forward it wasn't, or we just kind of let it be ambiguous and say, this is AI art and we're doing pretty good so far, so I'm going to go from there. Alright, so that's essentially the process. If we go into generations now, we did have an original. I would say that in some cases these new ones are worthwhile for training on. So now we have 4K versions of the same character, and that's kind of how you do it.